So, I mean, I think whether we're talking sports management or sports journalism, it's pretty clear that the playing field of information dispersal has changed. Mike, how does your week break down? But how does your game day work down? Are you? I mean, the sports journalism has always been about it, being constantly up to date and in the minute. But how does this? How do you handle the social media requirements every day?
It's a balance. So the main thing that I say is that Twitter has my name on it. It says Mike Reiss, but really what I'm trying to do is use that to drive people to our website, espnboston.com, because that's the platform that gives me the credential to go ask Bill Belichick the questions that he doesn't want to answer, that he won't answer, to ask Tom Brady the questions. So I try to balance it out in terms of what I tweet, in terms of this is what he said, versus, hey, here's a story on our site, here's the link. But it is something you're always feeding. It's 24 hours a day. Usually, when I was graduating from here, you'd just wait till tomorrow to find out that news. You'd open up the newspaper the next day. Now we can tell it to you literally minutes after it happens, and that's the big change.
How has it affected your workload, Paul? As far as I know that UMass athletics is pretty active in this sphere as well.
In terms of how it affects my daily job, it's a big percentage of what I do is making sure the posts that we're putting out, no matter what, if it's Twitter or Facebook, because we're different, we're not reporting news, we're making sure that it's relevant, that it hits home with the students here on campus, that it's something, if the photo we're posting, it's something that they care to see. First and foremost, I'm constantly thinking, how do I post the next thing on Facebook? Such as if we have a concert in and the trucks are loading in, I'll go snap a shot of those trucks even though I'm not supposed to be back there, and it goes on Facebook immediately, and that's where I get the most interaction. That's what I'm always trying to drive, is interaction on our Facebook and Twitter.
Well, as part of my daily, you asked how much of my day I do social media, that's all day for me. It's in my job title. I also do some more traditional PR things, like if ESPN comes calling, which they don't often come calling in America.
Yep,
but they have, come calling if they want this interview, if they want this piece of video that they can use later. I'm the one that answers that call. But for us as a league, we're really working on reaching out to our fans on Facebook and Twitter, because that's where they hang out. So it's been a really invaluable resource. Yes, we try to drive traffic back to our site, but for the most part, most of the content that I write is original to social media, which is a very, very interesting thing that I don't think many people predicted 10 years ago.
I guess one of the things that students grapple with is kind of how to create a digital footprint out there. Do you have a separate personal account, or do you mix? I mean, this is for all three of you, but is it worth setting up separate personal and professional accounts? Is that something you would recommend for students now?
I would definitely recommend it, and I think everyone has a different style in terms of how they want to tweet. For me, I feel strongly, if someone's following me, they're following me because they're interested in the Patriots. They don't care, if my 7-month-old son is homesick and I'm having a bad day. I think that would lead to a lot of unfollows. So I try to sort of streamline it and say, on this Twitter account, it's basically all Patriots.
For me personally, I don't tweet on my personal account too much. I mean, it's little things here and there, but I make it clear, which I would suggest to everybody, that my opinions are on my own on that account. It does say what my job is, so people are aware, so I'm not tweeting like any pictures that I'd be worried about my mom seeing or anything like that, which is a good rule of thumb, by the way. It does say in my bio that I'm primarily a ghost tweeter, so unlike Mike, I'm not a reporter. So people really aren't following me for AHL news. They're following me for maybe a look into what it's like to work for the AHL, which I do give them, but I'm not breaking any news. I'm not retweeting any press releases on mine. But it's definitely something to be aware of. I'm sure you guys harp it in your classes all the time. The internet's written in ink, so if you have a personal account, if it's public, even if it's not, I would think twice before you tweet.
All of you are here today hopefully for internships or jobs, is that right? Yeah, think before you hit send, always. So, and with that, if you're going to be representing a company at some point, absolutely have a separate account in Twitter. Obviously with Facebook, when you're managing a page, it's going to be linked. However, your voice isn't going to be shared on that page that you're going to manage.
There's so many conflicting reports out there these days. How do you know what's true and what's not true, and when do you retweet and when do you step back?
Really, more often than not, I sort of wait. Like if it's something with the Patriots, I'll check with the team. If it's the Patriots official account, that's legitimate. If it's something else, more often than not, I try to wait, unless it's Adam Schefter, who just all information in the NFL runs through Adam. So I'm going to take my odds are good with Adam, but otherwise I'm really going to err on the side of caution.
This is kind of another, I'm the opposite side of this. So I'm the people, especially when I was at the Bruins, I would get people coming up to me in the locker room and saying, so-and-so told me this, that his arm is hurting. Can you tell me if that's true or not? And I had to learn really fast to say, well, hang on, I'm not going to say anything because I don't know what's going on with coaching. I don't know if this guy's going to be in tomorrow. I don't know what the injury is. And even though I'm buddy-buddy with a lot of the reporters and still have a relationship with them, to this day I have to be aware that everything's on the record.
You guys have talked a lot about fans and followers in terms of and using social media in terms of a marketing tool and providing content. Could maybe you guys comment, maybe Paul can comment on this a little bit better, but comment on social media as sales lead generator, not just in terms of marketing tools, but also identifying wants and needs in the marketplace using your social media and that leading to sale.
That's a great sales lead generator. We're using it for market research. We're finding out what the students here on campus want to see. By doing that, brings in revenue through ticket sales, food and beverage sales go up. It's a great way, believe it or not. We're doing business by picking everyone's brains here on campus that follow us and are interested in what we have to say.
If I can just follow up on that from a writer's perspective. Used to be like you used to get your credential, and I would always think like I have the opportunity to ask a question that you might want to ask, So I used to try to get a feel for like the pulse of the people was what I would call it. And it was hard. But now with Twitter, I get a pretty good feeling like, oh, that's what people are thinking of right now. And some of that's driven by fantasy football. Will this player play? Will he not play? But a lot of times, the stories that I might write or the blog entries I might produce are actually sort of generated from the Twitter account, from let's say one theme keeps coming up that maybe I didn't think about myself.
Just to add to that really quick, just like Paul said, we also use social media a lot for customer service. But to take it one step further, we also use it for data collection a lot with leads. Anytime we do a giveaway, we always link it back to our page and have the fans fill out really quick form, but it includes their email.
I just want to add to what she said. I know this panel today is about social media. It's an ever-evolving industry, if you will. We find through ticket sales, we get exponentially more through email marketing, okay? So as much, and going back to your question before, how much of my job is social media, it's a huge part, but there's many other aspects in what we do in a marketing standpoint to help our events sell than just social media. So utilizing it, just as Samantha said, for email generation and trying to drive people to get into us so we can send pre-sale codes out, things like that. We're doing a ton of that.
Thanks a lot, all three of you, for coming here today, and thanks for everybody for joining us.